Hello and welcome to the Pandemic Pantry, where today we're going to be making a sourdough chocolate cake. This is continuing in our What to Do with Your Sourdough series. So to start off, we're going to sift together a bunch of dry ingredients, and we're going to start off with 250 grams of flour. To that we're going to add a teaspoon. A teaspoon is a bit too large for that jar. Let's try going with half teaspoons. So 2 half teaspoons of cinnamon. And then 3 half teaspoons of baking soda. So that's a total of 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. And then we've got 3 grams of salt. The salt won't be really sifted, so we'll just go straight into the bowl. Now that all that's together in your sifter, just tap it back and forth, give it a nice little shake, and into the bowl it goes. My cinnamon was ground in my mortar and pestle, so there's a few chunks left. Just dunk those in. They'll be all right. And put that to the side. Next up is our wet ingredients. For our wet ingredients, we have 250 grams of sourdough starter. That is at that nice, bubbly, ready-to-make bread stage, but we're not making bread, we're making cake. So then we add about a teaspoon of vanilla extract and 227 grams of evaporated milk. You can substitute the evaporated milk for just regular whole milk if you want, but if you have evaporated milk, a great thing for your pantry, and you can use it for these baking recipes, which it does a little bit nicer than milk. Make sure we're precise in this measurement. We don't want to be off. You can be off. It's okay to be off a little bit. And once that's all mixed together, all measured out, put in the bowl, let's cover it. Yeah, we're going to cover it up because it'll be sitting to the side for a little while. There we go. Cover it and set it to the side. Next up, we have about 85 grams of dark chocolate that we need to melt over a double boiler. Or if you have a microwave, you can melt it in the microwave. The double boiler, it's just water in the bottom of a pan and a bowl on top, and then just keep mixing it a little bit as it slowly warms up and melts. And now it's into the creaming. So some butter, we've got 113 grams of butter, and then 200 grams of sugar all go into the bowl of the mixer. Put it down and start mixing that about. You'll have to scrape it down a few times. Maybe your beater will fall off, but it'll all be okay. After it gets to that white, slightly lighter and fluffy stage, now we need to beat in the eggs. So take your mixer to a reasonably low setting, and then beat them in one at a time. After it's incorporated, move on to the next. And then we get to a nice, buttery, eggy mixture, which if you're like me, I'd be happy to just eat that. But to that instead, we're going to add our wet ingredients that we're sitting to the side. Just scrape them on in. Nothing ceremonious about this. Scrape up the bottom to make sure all that butter mixture can get incorporated in. And let it just beat together for a little while. After probably a minute or two, get our melted chocolate all ready, and I was about to dump it in while it was all stopped. I gave it a nice scrape, and then I thought, you know what? If I dump this in, that's hot. The other stuff is cold. Will it just all harden and then not really mix together? So let's try this differently. Let's try beating it while it's moving. Now, if I didn't need to worry about this, please let me know down in the comments. I actually do not bake all that often, so this was all new to me. Either way, you beat those ingredients together, and now we need to add in our dry ingredients. That's the flour that was all sifted together with the spice. And just put this in kind of batches, maybe a little slower than I did, or you'll get a mess all over the place. Scrape off as much batter as your household is willing to sacrifice to actually make the cake. The rest you can eat. I like eating it. And now we've got to prepare our baking dish. So this is the dish I had. It's about a 20 by 20 centimeter baking dish. I think it says it's 2-liter capacity. It did all right. I think a little bit larger probably would have been better for this. But first we butter it, and then we add in some flour to flour and butter. This will make sure nothing can stick. And just shake that around, tap it a few times. Don't put your fingers inside because that removes it. And now that we've got that all done, just plonk in all of that amazing batter. Just scrape it on in there, push it around a little bit just to make sure it gets into the corners, and that goes into a 175-degree oven for, I thought it was going to be 30 to 40 minutes. In the end, it took me about an hour. But when it's done, it comes out and looks like this. Very nice. Now you want to do your whole normal toothpick test and all of that as it's going. I did, and got it to this point. So after it's cooled for a couple minutes, just go around the side with a knife, and then this is the double flip method for getting the cake out. One rack on top, flip it over, and then it goes down onto that first rack. Now it's upside down. And now we do that again with another cooling rack. Flip it over again, and ta-da! We have our cake out of the pan and all ready to cool. Let's get a nice shot there. That's good. So let that cool for a little while. And then I went very simple with this. I just did a little bit of icing sugar that I probably should not have poured on top of it. Let's try getting that off. It's not going to matter. And then just sift some icing sugar on top. And let's take a taste. So, as I said, I cooked mine for about 60 minutes. That was probably a little too long. You probably want it to go maybe 10 minutes less than that. It was amazingly tasty, very nice, a little dry around the edges from my overcooking, but as you can see, good texture. And how's it taste? Let's get a taste in there. Looks good. Tastes good. A little bit of cinnamon from that cinnamon in there, good chocolate flavor. Can't really tell that it's made with sourdough. Really, it's just a really nice chocolate cake. I really hope you've been enjoying these sourdough recipes. I really have. Once again, this is the Pandemic Pantry. Stay safe.